That was some good pizza. So let's talk a little bit about artistic license here. Alright, so here's my example. All of these three all say never grow up. They all say the same thing, but if you look, especially at the differences between the top one and the bottom one, you'll notice that they look pretty different. Because some of the letters have these lines coming out of them, that kind of gives you a little bit of freedom. For example, these lines here. This is a U, you know, this is a P. So this P here, you can see it has two accent lines coming up out of it. And if you then go down here, you'll see that they're in a completely different spot, and they're not stopping at the end of the word line. They're going all the way, or the word line. They're going all the way out to the sentence line. And that's fine. You can do that. You can do that with any line. You could even do that for an I. It doesn't have to stop at the edge of the word. It doesn't have to connect with another I or anything. You could make, if you wanted to, this line here could continue out all the way to the end of the sentence. And so that's creative license, artistic license. You can do whatever you want with those. Just like the dots, they don't have to be in the line on the edge. They just have to be within the circle, or they have to be like in this half of the circle. Like they can't be floating out here, or they could be mistaken for A's. So this is some artistic license you can take with that. And you'll also notice, if you look, that, for example, this is never grow, G-R-O-W, this is a W. This W has two lines coming out of it, and it meets up with the G's line. Now, the other line of the W does not meet up. It goes on to the edge of the word line. And that's perfectly okay, because if you'll notice, the G only has one line, but this W has two. And what you can do with, and I've also done it here, you can connect the lines. If they're the same number of lines, you cannot add an extra line. Like if I would have made this line connect with a G, it wouldn't have been a G anymore, it would have been an H. So you can connect them, but only if they have the same number. And if one of them has more, you put it out to the edge. This could have gone out again to the edge of the sentence circle. The placement of your lines is really doesn't matter, and they don't even have to be going the same direction. They can go in different directions. I could have put this one here and this one going up this way. It wouldn't have mattered as long as there's a line coming out and it doesn't end at the edge of another word circle, which would make that letter circle, which would make that letter a different letter. It would, if you add a line, like to a G, you add a line, it becomes an H. You take one away, from a G, it would become a B. So you have to remember, there's kind of a lot of details here, but not so much. You'll also notice that these lines, okay, so I have these lines out here. Now, technically this right here, with the indents in it, is the sentence circle, and because it's a sentence, like if this were a word circle, this big circle right here, and I had these, and this would say T, 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 because those are technically T's, but sentences, as a whole, don't have additional letters to them. So you can add these indents to them just for looks. Where there might be a problem would be if you put dots on them, or additional small circles, especially the dots, because if we look here at the bottom of this tutorial, you'll see that the dots are punctuations. You'll see these punctuations right here on the outside of the sentence circle. So if and you can also see that they did also put in little marks that don't necessarily mean anything, they're just for looks. But if they would have put dots right here, then that would have made this the end of a sentence right here, because it would have read up to this point, and then there were dots. They might have put maybe two, and then it would have been a question, and then this would have turned into its own sentence with its own punctuation if you go around this edge. And that would have been wrong, because then they would have had to be in separate sentence circles. So just be careful of that when you're writing. Embellishment like this is good. Too much, not so much. There is also doubling, which I did not talk about, and I will go to this one here to talk about this. You'll notice at the end, this says James Wyatt. Notice that Wyatt has two T's in a row, and this is one T, this is the second T. What I could have done, and which is correct, is I could have put a second circle right around the edge of this one, very close to it, but with a small amount of space in between it, and that would have made it a double T. And then I would not have had to include this one. It could have just been a double half circle here, and then it would have saved some space. I just wanted to do two. That's another creative thing you can do. If there had been, for example, two Y's, what you would have done is look here, and you'll see that the Y is a half circle with two dots, and this small dot is an A for the A in Wyatt. If he had spelled his name with two Y's in a row, what you would have done is you would have put a second ring around this main circle, and then you would have also put a second ring around both of these dots. So there was distinction. I personally do not tend to do that, but you can certainly do that. Also, you might notice there are different line thicknesses here. This outer line is thicker, and I made this one smaller. That's also just preference. I thought it looked nice, so I did it. You don't have to. You don't have not to do it. You can do however you want. Also, while I'm talking about the doubling, you'll notice that I've put my sentence circle, but then I've also put this secondary circle around it. Technically, that means that this says James Wyatt, James Wyatt. Technically, however, there's an amount of logic to this. If you're reading this and you see the second circle, you would use your own personal logic to realize that that is for embellishment and that his name is not James Wyatt, James Wyatt. But if this is the only spot you can do this. You can only do this on the outside of a sentence circle, but you cannot do it if you are writing a paragraph, because then it would be incorrect. If you're writing a paragraph, then it would say James Wyatt, James Wyatt. Because if there were more circles around here, and then they had the doubles, then you'd be repeating every one of your sentences twice. So, assuming this is a sentence right here, if you were going to write a paragraph with this sentence included in it, you would need to take away this outer ring out of the sentence. That's just about all. The only other thing is just, again, look at this, and here's a good example of a sentence. You'll notice that, as I just said, they did not put secondary rings around this. This, as a sentence whole, is fine to put a second ring around. But if you are writing any more than this, you would have to take away this again, and then put your next segment here and your next segment around in another circle. Just look at this punctuation here. This is sentence punctuation. These three are an exclamation point. If there had been two, question mark, this circle in the middle of the ring, or with the line going through the middle of it, period, same thing. And these are only short for demonstration. You could have them, if you wanted them to be coming out, you could have them from here to here, or, technically you could have them going all the way off the page. That would be technically correct as well, though I don't believe it would look very nice. But yes, I think that's all I have to tell you for now. Go ahead, I'm going to put this probably in a couple different places. If you want to leave me comments, feel free to do that. If I didn't explain something clearly enough for you, or if I missed a point that I should have talked about, tell me in the comments, and I'll make another video and explain it to you. Bye bye.